welcome everybody to our virtual annual meeting of the Parish Council, which is the first time we've done this. Right here, let's crack on because we've got an enormous agenda. So we need to try and get through it as fast as we possibly can. Item 1, to consider the election of Chairman of the Council for 2021 and for elected Chairman to sign a declaration of office in view of the meeting's participants. Do we have any nominations for the role of Chairman?
Yes, Andrew.
Do we have any seconders of that?
I second Andrew.
Do we have any other nominations? Oh, it's gone so quiet. The only thing I would say is that, you know, I'm relatively happy in my role as Vice Chair because I find myself quite busy, and I'm aware that the auditor would be happy if we had a permanent chair. So I think on the basis that I don't want to do this for longer than I absolutely have to, I'm happy to accept the nomination. Could we have a show of hands in favour? Against? Abstaining? I think carried by unanimous. 2-0, my favourite score. Item 2, to consider the election of a Vice Chair of the Council for 2021 and for the elected Chair to sign the declaration of office in view of the meeting's participants. Do we have any nominations for the post of Vice Chair? I'd like to nominate someone if no one else will. Tracy Murray.
Okay.
Any seconders?
I second.
All in favour?
Thank you.
Against? No, none against. Abstaining? No abstaining. Welcome, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Glad
Can
to be there.
Can I ask you both to sign your paper and show us your signed paper, please?
Was this in the pack, Fen? Am I meant to have printed something off? Because I've run out of it.
It's in the pack I gave you.
Shoot. Okay. Let me just print it off. Sorry.
Thank you, Tracy. You recorded. With all those post-it notes on saying sign here.
Oh, Lord.
In that white envelope I gave you last week, it's got the agar in and everything. You definitely need it.
This one.
That's it.
You see, it's being organised that, and it's black ink, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or doesn't it matter? Is it full name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you just want me to sign it and fill it in?
It's just your name, sign and date, isn't it?
Okay.
And then show the
Yeah. Sorry about the confusion. 28th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up a bit. Lovely. Thank you very much. Right, Brendan, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here now. Yeah, I'm just trying to sort things out. Can you see me now?
Yeah, we can see you. So,
Right, is it just us? Is Caroline there?
yeah, she's disappeared.
And there's a couple of members of the public as well.
Right.
Righty-ho, next item on the agenda. To consider the co-option of, I think it will now be one new councillor to the Parish Council, Mr. Michael Lewis. Each candidate can speak up to 3 minutes. Chair will seek proposers and seconders for each nomination, and then a vote will be taken accordingly. So, Mike, over to you as to why you'd like to join the Parish Council.
Hi. Like I've said on my co-option form, so apologies for repeating if anybody has read that. But as most people know, I'm very passionate about the village. I've lived here for coming up to 2.5 years now, so I feel very much part of the community. and would like to give some stuff back to that in addition to working on the emergency response team and the speed team as well. In terms of what I do for a living, I'm a business transformation consultant, so I run a consultancy that transforms businesses as well, so I know a little bit about the inner workings of things like that. And I've formerly been a non-exec director for British Skydiving, which is the national governing body of skydiving in the UK. So I've got some experience of that type of work, and I was previously, when living in the centre of Newbury, a former school governor and chair of finance committee for that local governing body as well. So I've got some experience in that area. So that's it.
Splendid. Could I have someone to nominate Mike?
Nominate Mike.
And seconder? And
Yes.
all those in favour?
Yes.
Against? Abstaining? So carried unanimously. Welcome to the council, Mike.
Thank you.
And I presume we'll have some forms to sign offline, will we, Fen, or has Mike got them?
He's doing it right now, so Mike will sign that and show the camera.
Seamless. Seamless. Seamless.
Yes, thank you very much.
To receive apologies for absence from members of the council. I don't think we've got any, have we?
No.
Splendid. Okay, item 5, to receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests or non-registerable interests by members to the clerk, or to consider any requests for dispensation.
No.
Were there any previously in records, Fen, that were relevant, or I can't think of any?
No.
No? Okay. Splendid. Okay. Item 6, to receive a report from the District Councillor Caroline Culver. Is she around? There she is. Hello. Over to you.
Sorry. I covered myself up because I'm answering emails and you don't want to see me going like that. Not good. It's not a good look. So anyway, hope you're all well.
Yeah, top notch.
Right. So what can I tell you? The council are preparing for what they call the recovery stage from COVID. So they're doing a public questionnaire at the moment, which you can see online and which has also been advertised on the local Facebook pages. So I would encourage as many people as possible to fill that in, because it's your opportunity to talk about how you've experienced the lockdown and how the council can improve things in the future, etc. So really important that they hear from you about that. We're still getting regular updates from the chief executive and the leader of the council about what's been going on in the hospitals and the care homes and so on. Obviously there's the community hub in Newbury. We've got all of the local volunteer groups in the local villages, and you will be aware, Ben, coordinator for East Ilsley. So we've been having a weekly meeting where we get all of the volunteer coordinators together and have a chat about how everything's going and if there are any problems that they need help with. So that's been going really well, and that will continue to happen. The council are reintroducing car parking charges from the 1st of June, having stopped charging during the last few weeks. They are going to be stopping traffic going down Northbrook Street in the centre of Newbury for a while because of the need for social distancing. So this is to assist pedestrians and cyclists with social distancing who are finding it difficult at the moment because the traffic's going down in the mornings and the evenings and it's pushing everyone to the side of the road. So West Berkshire are using something called a temporary traffic order to do that. It's a temporary measure and they are going to review it every month, and they have said that if they decide that they would like to make it permanent, there will be a proper public consultation. So what is happening now is not all done and dusted. There will be more consultation if they want to make it permanent. There was a poll in the Newbury Weekly News and it was sort of 50-50 split between people who thought it was a good idea and didn't think it was a good idea. So it's something that's going to need more debate. Obviously, it would be nice because it gets rid of pollution. We could plant some trees down the high street, have some cafes, etc. Newbury Town Council have voted to make it permanent, but ultimately it's up to West Berkshire. Members' community bids. I know, Fen, you have sent me a bid. So this is the £5,000 pot of money that I can... and I've got a couple of other local villages that are interested as well. So deadline for that has been extended till the 3rd of July. So I don't know whether that will impact upon your need for your bid, or whether you're happy to wait until that time. It's going to be July, August before they make a decision. And also I will keep you posted, because I'm waiting to see what the other villages put in. There's a couple of people definite. I want to make sure everyone's treated fairly, and I am conscious that East Ilsley got 2 pots of money last year for the orchard and the emergency kit. So if I'm inundated with bids from other people, I will come back to you and chat to you about it, but it may be that I can't bid, or I can only bid for part of it, or whatever. But I will keep you posted about that. The tips are both open, but you have to book in advance if you want a slot. And the Sunrise Barn planning application, the planning officer has confirmed that there have been at least 10 letters of objection. And I have also called it in, so I've got the permission of the chair of the committee to call it in. So if the officers recommend approval, it will go to the committee. If they recommend refusal, then it's refused. So if it's approved, it goes to the committee, and then we get a chance to debate it. So that means there's a committee of 9 councillors of all party political persuasions who will receive a very detailed proposal from the planning officer, and there will be an opportunity for yourselves, Compton, who've also objected, the agent, the applicant, etc., to all put their point of view, and then there would be a debate and there will be a vote. So if it's recommended for approval, there will be a meeting. I don't know at the moment when it's going to be, because the deadline for consultation is the 5th of June. And then after that, the planning officers will have to amass all of the information, pull it all together, decide whether or not they should approve or reject, and then put it forward for a committee meeting. They happen every 3 weeks. And there aren't site visits at the moment because of COVID. So usually all of the councillors would pile in with the planning officers, and they'd go down to the site and they'd have a look for themselves, and they'd get to ask questions. That is not going to happen with this, unless the pandemic is suddenly over and they decide they're going to have site visits again, which that's highly unlikely. So I think that's it from me. Yeah.
Fabulous. Anyone got any questions for Caroline?
No.
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 Okay.
Oh,
Thanks.
Caroline, quick question. Sorry, quick question, Caroline, will I remember?
Yeah.
Going back about Sunrise Barns, in terms of objecting and writing a letter or sending an email, does it matter if you live in the village or not? So, for example, if I lived down in Wales and I decided a friend of a friend or a cousin lived here and was unhappy, and I looked at it and I wasn't happy, I'm still able to submit my objection.
If you were living in Wales, probably that would be stretching it a bit. I think they'd consider it if people are living in Compton, because it could potentially affect people in Compton. Say, for example, if traffic went up Churn Road, that kind of thing. But Wales, I don't know.
So it's got to be within this area. It's got to be within the villages surrounding East Ilsley.
Yeah. Do you
Just
know
out of
someone in
interest,
Wales who's not happy then, Brendan?
Brendan, just out of
Someone in
interest.
Wales who's not happy.
Yeah, Brendan, just out of interest, where does the question come from?
No, the question has come from, obviously, you've only had 10 in, and the likelihood is that you should have. I'm on either side, so I'm not saying object or accept. What I'm saying is you would be expecting feedback, a couple of hundred at least. So where are those couple of hundred obviously come from this village, or is it a case whereby if I have a cousin's father's mother that lives down in South Wales or even down in Bournemouth, and I'm telling her how annoyed I am, and she said, oh, let me have a look at it, and she looks at it and goes, yeah, I see what you're saying, this is terrible.
Yeah, no, I think they would just ignore it, surely.
I can find out what the precise guidelines are. There may be something that says you have to be in the neighbouring, no further than the neighbouring parish or something. I don't know. I can find out precisely.
Yeah, it'd be good to it'd just be good to know. I'm not expecting this to happen, but I'm just trying to think.
Yeah.
If I wanted to up the numbers and I didn't like what was happening, I'd go to all of my family all over the UK and I'd get them to object to help me. But would it
And
carry
also,
out
it wouldn't hold much weight with the councillors on the committee, because if they could see loads of objections from elsewhere, they'd think, well,
Or
not
from
really.
people with the same surname.
Fine. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I will find out for you what the precise definition is. But I know that people in Compton, there are some in support and some against it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will be accepted because the parish council over there has been allowed to take a view.
Yes, okay.
And
fine.
also, Caroline, just out of
Yeah.
interest, you know,
Yeah.
a generic letter that just gets sent out, surely that's just like people can't be asked to write their own letter, and that's pretty meaningless, really, isn't it? There's no real reason. It's just like, well, we'll pick it up from your house and we'll send it in for you.
It's
How
still
does that work?
objection. Still counts.
In the same format as a personal letter from an individual house?
Yeah, if it's a pro forma letter that people have signed, it would still count as an objection. But again, it's about waiting. So basically, all of the councillors on the committee will look at everything in the round and they will make a decision. If they've got 100 letters of opposition making 100 different points, then that obviously weighs heavier in their thinking than if they've got letters that are all the same. But it's the points in the letter that matter ultimately. You could have a killer point in a letter which finishes an application, you know, and if 100 people write exactly the same sentence about that particular thing, and it's that thing that nails the application, then, you know, the fact they've all the same thing. At the end of the day, it comes down to planning regulations and strategies and so on. So every time there's a planning application, we are given by the planning officer very detailed advice saying, you know, we approve of this because it meets X, Y, and Z policies, blah, blah, blah. And it might say things like there will be a condition that you cannot knock down building X, you can only renovate it. So there's all these sort of conditions as well, and we have to discuss all of that.
Yeah, it's planning law, isn't it?
Yeah, if we oppose something, we have to say why. So, for example, in a debate, I could say, I don't like the look of that house, it looks a bit crap, you know? But I have to say it contravenes policy CS1, CS4, blah, blah, blah. Because at the end of the day, if you reject a planning application, the applicant could appeal. And so the council needs to be on really solid ground, because if they lose the appeal, they lose a hell of a lot of money, and that is taxpayers' money. So they have to be very, very careful when it comes to planning.
Yeah, so I remember from the Maxter development, and there was like 80 plus letters were sent in, and that still went ahead. So, no, it's interesting.
Yeah, it comes down to the policies and everything. I mean, I'll give you the paperwork and show you. It's enormous.
It really is, hundreds of pages. Any other questions for Caroline from councillors?
No.
No.
Okay, great.
So this is the last set of papers. Absolutely rammed with drawings and stuff about all of the strategies. So it's really, really detailed. We had a 3.5 hour meeting last week, and we only got through 2 out of 4 applications. So each one takes a lot of debate and working over. So it's taken very seriously.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Caroline, or is that you done?
Yeah. I will bail out in about 5 minutes because I've got to chair another meeting in a minute.
Okay, splendid. Right.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thanks, Caroline. That's terrific.
Thanks, Caroline.
Item 7. Questions or comments from members of the public regarding items on the agenda and representations from any member who has declared a personal interest. And how long have we got for this, Fen? Is it 10? Okay. Would anyone like to ask a question or comment regarding items on the agenda? Anyone? No? Okay. Item 8, to approve the minutes of the meeting of the 21st. Is this in my pack, Fen?
It's on the agenda. It's all hyperlinked. It's one big document. You got it?
Yeah. I just got to exit full screen. So has everybody read the minutes?
Yeah.
Have we got any amendments or changes
No.
or inaccuracies that anyone?
No, good.
Couldn't see anything, no.
I can't see any myself. Fen, I'm going to have to sign these once I've printed them, if that's okay.
No, don't worry. We'll get. I just need approval that they're okay and accurate, and then we'll get a wet signature when we get to meet. So it's fine.
Okay, so take that as approved and accurate. Right, on to the annual governance and accountability.
Sorry, you've got the planning meeting as well.
My apologies, sorry. And the planning meeting. So sorry, same again. Anybody got any amends, corrections?
No.
No.
No. Sorry, it was 2, wasn't it? Yeah. So we can take those as being accurate, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take those as being accurate, and then we will follow that up with a signature. Righty-ho. Item 9, annual governance and accountability. Consider the findings of the internal audit review. So what have they said to us, Fen?
Okay, so all of our accounts were kept in order.
Excellent.
We provided a clear audit trail. Supporting paperwork is in place and well referenced. What else? Data protection. We have included this in the risk assessment because I did that last year, so that's a tick.
Yeah.
Our privacy policy was done. Our cover is accurate. We've ticked all the boxes. We've met the transparency code. I'm just going down to the last page. Good budgetary procedures are in place. The precept was agreed in full council and it was clearly minuted. The clerk ensures the council are aware of responsibilities, commitments, forward planning and the need for adequate reserves. Budget papers are prepared to ensure councillors have sufficient info to make decisions. Budgets are monitored during the year. Income controls are all in order. Income is cross-referenced to the cash book and bank statements. Our HMRC is good. Our asset register is good. General reserves are absolutely fine. Getting to the last bit now. Right, there are no additional comments or recommendations to make in relation to this audit. I'd like to record my appreciation to the clerk for her assistance and for the quality of documentation presented in the files. So,
well done, Fen.
Big thumbs up.
Well done, excellent.
Great. Well done.
Okay, so there's nothing really to discuss on that as far as I can see, so we appear to be doing the right things, which is good. And thank you, Fen, for all your work in this. To approve the annual governance statement by resolution.
Okay, so you need those blue documents.
Yeah.
Okay, so these were pre-filled out prior to me sending them to the auditor. This year we are AGAR Part 3 because our gross income exceeded 25,000.
But only by an insurance claim, to be clear.
Absolutely.
Otherwise we wouldn't have been.
No, but that does mean we have to be externally audited, which is still fine. So what we've got in our AGAR then, so page 1 of 6, you don't need to do anything.
Okay.
Page 2 of 6, I complete when I pick the forms up from you, so don't worry about that. Right, page 3 is the internal audit report. We don't need to do anything about that.
Okay. And I don't need to sign it or signify.
No, ignore that page. So we need to go to page 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need you to sign if you're happy with that, and that everybody's seen, all councillors have seen this document, so it's in their agenda pack. So chairman needs to sign just above my signature and then show the camera.
Okay.
Lovely. And we then need to go to page 5. And you need to sign bottom of the right-hand side.
There we go.
Thank you. And page 6 is what I send to the external auditors, so they complete that for us.
Okay, and they sign it as well.
And they sign it. So that's all you need to do on the blue printed documents.
Yeah.
So now you need to go to the printouts, the annual returns.
So I've got it. So it's the annual return first, is it?
It is. So all this is our from our finance package, Realtus. This is the final report. The figures match exactly what you signed on page 5 of the AGAR.
Okay.
So in that box that says chair, you sign today's date.
Okay. And are these documents on or will be on the website, yeah? Or
yeah, so once I've picked them up from you on Monday, they get scanned in and they get sent to the external auditor. And when that's come back, and perfect. When that comes back, you have to follow the transparency code, so they'll be added to our website and put on the notice board.
Okay. Which one is next?
Next is the summary receipts and payments.
Okay.
And that needs a signature at the bottom, just before mine.
Last year's net balances. And there's that sign there.
Thank you. And that's it. That's the AGAR done.
Hooray! That wasn't too torturous. Thank you, Fem, for all your help on that.
I will come round and collect those on Monday from you, Andrew.
Okay, brilliant. Item 10, to review the delegation arrangements for staffing committee and the clerk. So what are we ratifying?
Right, so basically it's the budgetary control and authority to spend.
Yeah.
So the council, all items over 5,000, and any items of £500 for committees and the clerk. And the clerk can spend in conjunction with the chairman of a council or committee for items below 500. So these are all in our financial regulations, but we just need to clarify that you're still happy with those spending figures.
I don't see any particular reason to adjust them because, you know, one of the things that's really key is that we don't end up spending lots of money without any sort of pre-warning or anything like that. We generally don't. We have the odd emergency where we have to. And I'm equally confident that when we have gone over sort of £500, we've seen the quotes, the comparative quotes. And again, life is not always about what is the cheapest, as we discovered with our web stuff. It's about value for money and getting the best result for the village at the most competitive rate. And I think we try our best to do that wherever possible. So I'm pretty comfortable with those, Fen.
Yeah, well, they are taken from the model NAUC. So we're not
which
doing
is the
strange.
National Association of Local Councils. So we're taking it from the professional body as well.
There is just one that we just need to check you're happy with. That the clerk can go ahead and pay for something if we are going to avoid an interest charge if we've got a late payment. So
I have no problem with that.
It's just to protect us from any additional charges. I can just get something paid and then let you know about it retrospectively, but We
Is
don't tend
is there a value limit on that or not?
No, it just says if a payment is necessary to avoid a charge to interest under the Late Payment of Commercial Debts Act.
Okay,
the
so it's
clerk-
unlikely to happen anyway.
No.
I mean, it's more likely to be an error, I would have thought, but I think it's important that we don't start getting billed for fees and bailiffs' fees and Lord knows what else.
Yeah.
In the worst case. So have we dealt with item 10?
We have, yes.
Excellent. Item 11, to review the terms of reference for the staffing committee.
Okay, so these haven't changed since we implemented the staffing committee last year, and they still match the model from now.
So they haven't amended them either.
No.
Does anyone have any comments or suggested amendments for the staffing committee?
No.
No,
No.
not that same.
No. Okay. So let's ratify those. Item 12, appointments of members to the staffing committee. How many do we need, Fen?
The chair is on there automatically.
Yeah.
So that would be you. We have 3, don't we? 3 or 4?
3 normally, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need votes. So it was Brendan,
Me, what's
Tracy and Andrew. So are you happy to continue?
Yes, I'm happy to stay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And everybody happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. To determine the appointment of any new committees.
It's whether or not you want to have a planning committee, but we're quite small, so
Yeah.
we probably need us all here anyway to be quora.
Well, I think, again, the sort of courtesy of 3 almost creates its own natural committee. And if we can't get 3 people into a meeting, then we probably shouldn't be having the meeting anyway. And I doubt you'd get away with NALC having any kind of committee with less than 3 people anyway. So,
Well, our maximum councillors is 6, so quora has to be half. So it's going to be 3.
Right, yeah.
so we're pretty much there. And no one's got any particular suggestions or penchant for creating any new committees, have they? They can think of?
No.
Not at the minute, no.
No, I think the only question I've got, Fen, is in terms of the emergency planning and stuff, whether, again, we kind of effectively say that's a parish council matter as a whole council rather than an emergency committee. I don't know. I wonder whether there's any thought processes in longer term involving some of the residents who've helped out with the emergency work for COVID. I don't know if you've got an opinion on this, Mike, or whether we need to draw people in more, or if they want to be drawn in fact. Oh, you're muted, Mike.
You're on mute, Mike.
Sorry, chatting to myself, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. We're kind of at a tipping point, really, aren't we, where things are starting to change and starting to improve. So I don't know whether we need to do anything right now. I guess we'll have to see whether we end up with this kind of double spike thing when people start moving back around again, because everywhere's getting really active, isn't it? So.
Yeah, there's literally laws and things being changed tonight that are going to shake things up a bit, but equally the infection rate's quite high. The death rate is still alarmingly high. Yeah. So, and if schools do in fact open on the 1st, we don't really know where we're going to be. I mean, one of the things I have heard from a lot of the council committees and health committees, and this really is for, I suppose, Mike and the guys who've helped on the actual emergency committee, is they're very keen that the support just dissipates the minute the crisis goes, because what they've actually found is that the local knowledge, the local commitment made more difference than any national planning, and arguably in some cases the national stuff got in the way of the local stuff, which certainly seemed to be the case to start with prescriptions and things like this. So both West Berkshire Council, I know, and the NHS are really, really keen that, you know, this amazing help that the community's given doesn't just dissipate and everyone goes back as if nothing ever else matters, because it's actually proven how powerful and useful it is. So we as a council should be really thinking how we can keep some of that going, or make sure that people remain, you know, engaged in the local community, because budgets no doubt going forward are going to be even tighter. So there's going to be less of anyone doing it for, and the community is going to be asked to do, I guess, more going forward. So
Is that something you could put on the WhatsApp response site and say, you know, would you be willing to come forward and take a committee forward?
I mean, out of interest, Andrew, have you obviously got some inside info with regards to the health stuff? The test and trace and track,
yes.
Have they had any kind of like contact from a local level? Because obviously that makes a lot of sense. Have they been liaising with local agencies and stuff?
They've started to, in terms of local public health. But what was really interesting was that we had a local run testing centre and a national run testing place. So if you went through the national system, you were being sent to Oxford. But there was staff testing and key worker testing at the community hospital, but that was run by Berkshire Healthcare, and you couldn't access that without effectively being. And yet I was led to believe that a lot of the time there was hardly any testing being done, and of course you're then risking having people driving to Oxford. So it seemed to be one of these cases where National took the lead, but arguably, you know, didn't handle it desperately well. So I think with the new program, what they're trying to do is get more direct help from the local public health directors on the ground who know the area. So in theory, it should work a little better. Well, that's the theory anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Ben, sorry.
So when we signed everybody up to the emergency response team for COVID, they all filled out a form, which was a GDPR compliance form. But one of the questions on there was a tick box which said, do you want to continue being on the emergency response team when COVID has gone? And 9 out of 10, you know, all said yes. I've had a couple of people who said no, because I'm busy at work.
Yeah.
But everybody has agreed that they will be on the team to help us in floods or any other kind of disasters.
So I suppose the question we've got, and I don't necessarily say we should answer it tonight, is whether do we actually formally need an emergency response committee to maybe try and capture those people, give them, you know, some things to actually go discuss and what have you, as we wait for the impending doom of the next plague to hit us, be it locusts or drought or flood or whatever it happens to be. I'm not sure. I mean, I think it'll be very, very important at some stage very, very soon that we get official letters of thanks out to people who did it.
It could always be a steering party or a working group.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because I'm mindful the minute you use the word committee, you have to start producing minutes and
Terms of reference.
And all the things that killed all the previous committees, well, working parties we had, because we used to have quite a few, and the formalisation of it just killed it stone dead, because people, when they're volunteering in a village to help out, don't generally want to go through all the formality you'd expect of either a business or a local government committee. So I think it sounds like we're sort of saying, no, we don't want to do any new committees, but we are mindful that we need to be careful that we don't let all the good work just dissipate away on the emergency committee. So perhaps we can put something on the agenda for the next meeting about that, and perhaps something that's having Mike on board now, he can maybe have a think about what we do to actually capture some of that and keep people engaged.
Yeah, Andrew, I think we should probably do some sort of wash up or some sort of feedback loop as to what worked well, what didn't work well, what we could do better next time. And then if we can sort of form some sort of structure, so if there is a similar or any emergency, we've got the benefit of that hindsight as well. That'd be useful.
I think that would be a really great idea, Micah, because I think the other thing that we were almost starting to really get to grips with was our emergency response document, Fen. And I don't think we got as far as actually completing it before, you know, A, we got hit with some flooding in the village, and then B, we immediately got hit with COVID. So I would imagine filling that in as a plan could be part of that wash up, so that we don't lose the information, you know, what works, what doesn't work. And it'll be much, much richer, because we very much had it down principally just for flooding. And, you know, we may want to think about how we thought with things like the flood kit. Were there other things now that we should be thinking about for other emergencies? Because again, COVID isn't going anywhere. And there's some real concern in the NHS about this winter, not just from a COVID point of view, but from flu and just other things in terms of the sheer intensity of work that's been going on makes the whole system quite vulnerable to being hit with, you know, a flu epidemic or a really bad winter or something like that. So, you know, the emergency work certainly isn't going to go away. I'm going to move on to item 14 to review standing orders, parish council, which I guess is in the pack.
Yep, page 26. So again, these are based on Model NALC. They were updated last year with some recommendations from the internal auditor. We have no new recommendations and no new models have come out.
Fen, I just wonder, and this is just a question, where do we stand in terms of online meetings and stuff which weren't in any of these?
We are allowed to have them until the 6th of May 2021.
Oh, okay. So we don't need to amend the standing orders to the effect that we can or can't.
It's all under. It's because it's the Coronavirus Act that they come under.
Okay, because I am wondering whether, because there has been quite a lot of positivity about doing online meetings. You know, I think it's worked really well for us as a council because we have more people turning up than we ever did to the sort of school meetings as a whole. So I think that's obviously quite a good thing. And you know, it's certainly something while I like being in the room with people, you know, it's quite an efficient way. And there may be times where people aren't necessarily in the village, but you might need to run a meeting. And you could, in theory, we could run it like we are, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to do it in person.
Andrew, I actually totally agree with you on this, because I know a lot of people are asking questions about the development up at Sunrise. And, you know, we've had multiple meetings with Dyson up there and presentations at parish council meetings. And I saw the generic letter saying, how come people weren't informed? And if people actually turned up for parish council meetings, they'd actually understand what was going on in the village. So, yeah, I actually think that these kind of meetings are really, really good, because if people don't want to walk up the hill to go to a parish council meeting and they'd rather Zoom in, then at least they know what's going on in the village.
Yeah, or equally, because they're recorded, you could actually go and re-watch it if you were so so attuned. If you felt you didn't know what was discussed, you know, we've got no way apart from looking at the minutes as to sort of say what was the sentiment of something. So it'll be really interesting, I think, Fen, to see what NALC come up with and whether there's any sentiment from NALC as to should this be a potential option just going forward. And I guess we'll have to keep our standing orders updated as and when. I think it should always be given as an option, and or the other option potentially is that even if you have got a physical meeting going on, that potentially you have a laptop filming it, allowing people in to watch it who aren't necessarily at the meeting, but that will take some adjustment from NALC, I guess.
Yeah, it's all obviously legislation, so we're at the mercy of them, but currently we are allowed to host all meetings online until 6th of May.
Brilliant. Okay, fabulous. To review item 15, to review the financial regulations of the parish council.
Yep, so again, model, no changes and no recommendations to make any changes. We did update them last year. So are you happy
And we
with
haven't,
them as they are?
have we come across in the year any places where we felt we did have any gaps, or I can't.
I suppose the only sticky situation is it states quite clearly in the financial regs and my contract that I will be paid on the last working day of the month, but it's not always possible because
Is
of
there any
where
way
that falls.
Yeah, so is that a sensitive adjustment to say the last Thursday or something, or
Because I mean
or move it forward to a date, the 26th or 27th or something?
Yeah, the problem we've got is obviously if the last working day of the month is a Thursday,
Yeah.
then by the time I've finished my shift and done the end of month stuff and sent you the banking, it won't go in until the 1st of the month, because anything after 3 p.m. goes in the next day. So
can we suggest an adjustment then that would get us round that? Because I don't think you should be getting penalised for the vagaries of the calendar and the vagaries of banking regulations.
Yeah, it's just more of our finance kind of each month. If depending on where it falls, sometimes it looks like you've paid me twice in a month. You've paid me on the 1st of May and the 31st of May. And I just wonder, for sort of consistency, if the clerk's salary went out at a specific time, unless for ease, I get paid on the 1st of the month, because it means I can wrap up the that month and give you absolute hours worked, and then whatever, then I get paid on the 1st working day of the month. I don't know.
But are you not still being paid slightly in arrears?
I get paid for the month I've just done. That's how well.
Okay. Anyone got any thoughts on this? Because I think this is one of these niggly things that it would be nice once a year to try and get it right.
Well, if Fen was happy with the 1st of the month, if she's happy because everything's done, well, we'll just go with the 1st. If you're happy, Fen.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, for example, May. So today was my last working day because I don't work Fridays, and it's the 28th. But I'm going to have to work tomorrow because I've got to do end of month and stuff from this meeting. So I will be able to send you tomorrow morning my timesheet and bank for signing off. If you authorise that before 3, I will get that on Friday. If you authorise it after 3, I will get it on the 1st of June. Because obviously weekend and banking not happening. So it kind of makes sense that if I was to set the date as the 1st of the month, then regardless of when you authorised it, it would be processed and paid on that day that we've set.
On the 1st.
I think we should do that, Fen. Will you just quickly check with the auditor that there's no thing that's going to trip us up on that, though, if we do that?
Yeah.
But I think that sounds like a sensible thing.
Good idea. I think we should do the 1st. I also think you should just front load all of your core hours for the next 11 months of this financial year, so that whatever happens, we agree it, we sign it off, we press the button, so you never need to ask us. You'll only need to potentially come to us or come to Andrew or whatever and say, by the way, guys, in September, I've done another 6 hours over my core hours. So I need you to authorise those, please. Because then it gives you guys consistency. You never need to say to us in the month of November, oh, can you sort out my core pay, please? Because you'll know what it is. We've agreed that we press the button on it today for the next 10 months. It's just the extra hours you may or may not do in 1 month. you need to be paid for them and they need to be agreed. So we can press the button in that month for those extra hours.
Obviously, I have my expenses, like where I've bought stamps or stationery, that gets added on.
Stuff like that makes perfect sense. Why not? You need to know that from now until April, your core wages every month are due, and they're
And will
agreed,
be paid.
They're pressed, but we've already authorised, if you loaded them up for the next 10 months of the core hours, and we press the button tomorrow to say, no matter what happens then, you will be paid that core amount of money for the next 10 months, every month equally. If you do any extra hours in the month of September for whatever reason, or you buy a printer by chance, you just come and let us know. I've now got expenses and extra hours that add up to duh. Can you clear them, please? And we press the button in that month for those hours. And then you're not asking for your core hours.
I know, it's a tricky one, Brendan. I know exactly what you're saying. And, you know, in terms of by contract, that is exactly what happens.
It should be like that, really.
But in terms of kind of almost like a standing order, as it were, that...
Yeah. It's like me paying my mortgage. I know it's coming out the same every month.
It's going to be too difficult with pay reviews, pay scales, and all the stuff that the staffing committee will have to deal with. But we know that I do 8 hours a week, and we know that I'm on the pay grade that I'm on, agreed with now. So that kind of figure doesn't change. But I'll find out if the first of the month works. Let's see if that works.
No, I think let's move to that at least, so that we're clear on that, and providing the auditors can't see any reason, and if necessary, we'll ratify it at the next one.
Yeah, and then we'll have a look when we have a staffing committee meeting. Yeah. We'll discuss this in more detail. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's. Yeah. Excellent. Anything else on financial regs?
No.
No.
I'll just add, Fen, you might want to check that the first of the month following a year end is probably not auditable if you're actually paid after a year end.
This is why I'm kind of wondering whether we should be saying the 25th or something like that.
Well, that's standard corporate practice, because there used to be 3 days to clear payments through, whereas they're the next day now. So everybody did the 25th, so everybody was paid within that month that they just worked. But I think if Fen did 2 or 3 hours rolling forward between the 25th and the end of any particular month, putting that into the following pay wouldn't be an issue as overtime. But up until that month, my forecasted hours are this, therefore I'm paid that. Seems reasonable.
That makes sense.
See, I think that's a good idea. I think that's
you see, I think something like the 25th might be, because if you bear in mind you've got the anomaly of February, you would still, if you made it the 25th, in theory, clear everything you need to, and then maybe the staffing committee would just adjust it through the year. Yeah,
I'm happy with that. 25th then.
25th.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll start from June.
Yes, why not? Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Item 16, to review the asset register of the parish council. So this is the Bayeux tapestry and various other items and what have you.
Yeah. So obviously this has been updated to include our new purchases.
Yeah.
And as we move forward and I can start getting delivery on all the flood kit, this will be added to. Each time I make a big amendment, I send it to the insurance company so they know our current state of amounts.
Yeah.
And
again, we found out last year we don't do depreciation.
No.
Which is the oddest thing ever.
It is, but the other thing we need to do is the values on the asset register should be cost to replace it now. So it should be rolling. So for example, when we bought swings in 2007 for £1,300, actually the cost that should be is how much it would be to replace those swings now.
Yeah.
Okay, and the same with the red phone box.
Yes, because it's the asset register is linked to our insurance. If I make a claim, they give me the value that's on the asset register.
Okay, so it should be replacement value.
Replacement value, yes.
So, but how does that work then? In terms of, so we look at the RPI every year of what we have on our asset register.
Yeah, you
So
should
the
be.
RPI goes up by X percentage, so we need to
We
tell
whack on 3% or whatever.
every year.
Yeah. Approximately, Steve, yeah.
Well, that seems a bit strange, but yeah. No.
But then this is strange because remember, we don't depreciate stuff. So when we've got the train at replacement value, even though its actual value is nothing.
So we up everything every single year on our insurance policy on the RPI.
Yeah, so we pay more insurance. Woo!
Yeah.
Well, we're fixed for 3 years with our insurance, don't forget.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't see the Van Gogh on there.
No. We didn't register that.
Obviously, just talking about playground kit, you know that we're having, I've booked the man to come and do our repairs. We've got a 2-month waiting list.
Wow.
Because all the parish councils in the whole area have decided to repair their playgrounds. He might be doing us phased. He might be doing little jobs for us, but he's going to come back to me. But obviously, when he replaces some of these items, it could impact the price on our
because straight away, Fen, on things like the generators, have we put in the actual cost or have we put in the contribution?
Actual costs, because it's how much we would be given to repurchase should it get broken or stolen.
Okay, so we haven't accounted for the money we got from Caroline's grant in there.
No, because that doesn't link to cost.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Excellent. Okay. Anyone got any amends or anything like that?
No.
Nope.
Okay, excellent. Confirm the arrangements for insurance of risk, and this is the one we've done for 3 years.
Yeah, so this is page 59 in your pack. It is a lot of very dull.
Is there anything very dull about pandemics?
No, I couldn't see anything.
No, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because obviously this is what a lot of people found. They, in theory, had pandemic insurance and then found they didn't.
We haven't got pandemic insurance, but it probably because we haven't got a village hall.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a building to close and we're losing out on income.
Yeah.
I do need to speak to you actually about perfect timing. War memorial.
Yes.
So obviously we don't have a war memorial, so the value on our insurance is 0. But we are the owners technically of one, which we're about to rescue.
Yes.
He's in the Baptist chapel.
So that should go in there.
I think it should, because we are the custodians of it.
Well, also the roll of honour, which we've also got somewhere, haven't we?
That's up in the church.
But again, that's ours as a parish council, and there's a value to that as well. So that should go on there too.
Okay.
Yeah, my question on this, Ben, was where are we going to put the stuff we're taking out from the church?
I'm going to come to that during the clerk's report.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Yes, no, please do. Okay.
So apart from that was the only anomaly I could see, really.
Okay, so yeah, I think we should make an amendment.
Yeah.
And you've got everything else covered that we would need to be covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're a bit short of.
Yeah, that's good. Are you all happy? Yeah,
it looks fine to me.
Okay.
Next, to review the council's and/or staff's subscription to other bodies.
Yep. So we just have 3. So we pay our annual NAUC BAUC subscription, £135 a year. CCB 32, and the SLCC membership for the clerk, 118.
Are we not subscribing to the flood forum, or is that a donation?
Grant, donation.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a shame they don't run a subscription, funnily enough, because that would make more sense.
So we obviously we stopped paying Parish online because we never used it.
Yeah.
So we've lost that. We don't do that anymore. And the other things like website and IT doesn't count as subscriptions. These are kind of professional bodies, but that is all we've got.
Excellent.
Is there any
Everyone-
that you think we should have that we're missing?
No, I think all of those are fine. I can't think of any that we haven't got. As I said, there's only the Pang Valley Flood Forum, which I think is essential. But if we do it as a grant, then fine. But you would think it would sit there. Okay, everyone's happy with those, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fine.
Excellent. Okay, the next item to review the direct debits by the council.
So we only have 3. Our annual ICO payment of £35.
Yeah.
We're paying approximately £17 a month to the allotment for the water.
Yeah.
But the revenue income from the allotment adequately covers that, and we've got some in reserve for any fixtures and repairs. And then obviously it's just our email, which is Google, which is £8.29 a month, but that may disappear when we get our new email addresses set up.
Fabulous. Okay. The only other quick thing I just want to mention, Fen, and I don't know if this got lost in the midst of time. I think we used to charge Thames Water or someone like that an electricity charge or a rental charge or something.
We get £5 a year rental subscription for the base station.
That might be it.
We
Okay,
get it
you
annually.
know about it though. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
they pay us and we get a check.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wondered if it was going up with inflation.
It was £5 last year.
Yeah, it should probably be about 200 quid according to how they do things. Righty-ho. Council's complaints procedures. I presume this matches the NALC and or the Standards Board at West Berkshire Council, does it?
It does. It's against the Code of Conduct, and it's partly written by the monitoring officer as well.
Excellent. And I noticed there was an amend I think I saw coming down the tracks. I don't know if you've seen it. Might not be approved yet. I'm sure I saw something about they were changing West Berkshire Council ever so slightly, but if they haven't sent it to you, then they haven't done it.
No.
Okay.
All happy, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
21, to review the council's procedures for handling requests made under the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah. So luckily most of our stuff is online. We have got a important documents section on our website, and when we get our new website, that will be all much greater improved. Most people that have requested stuff from me, it's only been an asset register, which we agreed, and we emailed it over as a PDF. I haven't been asked to photocopy or anything, but there are kind of nominal fees. And again, this is pretty standard. It's in line with most of the other parishes in the area.
Splendid. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Item 22. Yeah, we wrote this a long time ago, didn't we?
So yeah, we just updated that to add in WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So Mike, I'll add you to another WhatsApp group.
Woo.
And obviously, since then we've had a Facebook page and a Twitter page, and now actually I need to add in the YouTube channel. So I'll add that. I'll update that. For security, could I have somebody that would be willing to be a manager of the YouTube channel in case something happens to my account and I get locked out? It's just a backup, really. But would anybody be happy to just be the backup? Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Excellent. Thank you.
It's just a good thing to have backup. So I'll add that in and update that. Are you happy with everything else?
Yep.
Cool. Mike, you'll get all of this in a pack that I'll send out to you, because there's loads of stuff that you're going to need visibility of. Okay.
Thank you.
So here we go. So this is quite interesting. So consider times and places of ordinary meetings of the full council stand up until the next annual meeting. So I can't imagine. Well, maybe 14th of July.
Well, we can have all of these online. There's no problem.
I'm just almost wondering whether we almost put them all online now,
Yeah,
and then effectively change them back once regulations or things permit. Because
I can't see us having
not in July anyway.
Well, if Rishi is furloughing everyone until October, I
Yes.
can't see us
Normality,
having,
yeah.
No, not at all.
Well, we could just put to be done via Zoom, and then a caveat that if restrictions are lifted, we will look to going
Or we
back
will
to face-to-face.
reconsider. Because
Yeah.
what I don't want to equally do is make everyone say you must come.
Yeah.
Because you may find people who either don't want to or still potentially in vulnerable groups who might not want to.
Okay. Are you happy with those dates as they stand at the minute, with our packed, busy social diaries we've got going on?
Yeah, because I'd prefer to
Yeah,
avoid Thursdays.
Okay.
It's the worst day of the week for me.
Can we please reschedule my annual appraisal?
When is it?
It was supposed to be the 5th of May. It's highlighted in orange on page 73.
Oh, yeah.
So the staffing committee, we
Yeah.
were supposed to get together on the 5th of May, but obviously it's kind of gone out the window. I just wondered if we could reschedule.
Well, I'm open. You just tell me when it's fine, whenever.
Yeah, ping me over dates and ideas and times and everything.
Okay.
And then we have a look at. That'd be great.
You got PPE to wear.
Yeah, especially if you're doing it virtually. That will just
Yeah.
make it very realistic.
Okay, so I'll just ping you some dates for a Tuesday evening. Is that the best? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you.
And yeah, as far as I can see, most of those dates should be okay. Everyone happy with that item?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Areas of responsibility. So I can see we've made a slight change.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I absolutely need to remove myself from is either pond or traffic. And I'd be tempted to remove myself from pond.
Yeah. Mike, because you want to be our traffic officer, senior.
Oh, do you? Oh,
team.
no, fine then.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I could do that.
Fabulous. Yeah, I don't particularly want to do pond, but I will do.
Okay, well, we got Tracy to do something.
Oh.
Needs to be on there as well.
Tracy, what
Yeah.
did you fancy?
Oh, do you know, I'm just looking. Well, obviously the pond then.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or do you want us both to do it to start with?
Yeah, if we do both, and then you can point me in the right direction, and then I can carry on myself.
Yeah? Is that okay, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll
Fabulous.
help you with the pond anyway.
Oh,
It's fine.
great stuff. Thanks.
Fabulous.
We'll all do the pond.
Yeah, the whole
I'll
parish.
get our
Well, to be
wellies
honest,
on.
the parish council will need to, because it'll be our biggest expenditure
No, I know.
apart
Yeah.
from the playground. So and it is significant because of the flood risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So we should be giving it suitable attention.
Brendan, are you okay with yours?
Yeah, I'm just scanning through this list actually. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm down for the playground anyway, aren't I? So that's fine.
Playground, footpaths,
Yeah.
and village design statement working group.
And Mike, without wanting to chuck additional work at you, is there anything else on there apart from traffic you think you'd like to get involved in? Because as I said, I don't think it needs to be a single councillor. We can share the load.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the pack, so I don't know what's on offer.
Oh, okay.
Allotments, churchyard and recreation ground, common land, digital, footpaths, pond, traffic and village design statement.
Digital is probably the only thing I'm qualified for in that at the moment.
Okay.
And as you're going to be my YouTube channel manager,
That would make
work quite
sense.
well.
That's ideal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Other bodies, yeah, we're really struggling with the Pang Valley Flood Forum. We still need to find a flood warden.
Yeah.
And that's a real big ask. And I think if we don't have one, I think we've got to have a member of the parish council going. I don't think it necessarily has to be the same person, but I think we've got to try our best to make sure someone goes.
How are we marketing that position to date? Because I've heard it's spoken about at some of the council meetings I've been to, but if it's only going out on Facebook or on the web page, then there might be a section of the community that aren't seeing the advert for that role that might feel suitable to do it.
Yeah, it goes in every time we have an EIC. It goes in there. And
does it go on a notice board, or should we put it on a notice board?
Yeah, it's been a poster. Yeah, it's been on there for a year since Steve Coleman left.
Should we give it a refresh?
Yeah.
Even if it's the same thing, make it look different.
Yeah.
Your village needs you with a picture of Kitchener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Drowning penguin or something. Right, okay, so we've done all of those.
Yes, we need so flood warden I've written down. District parish conference attendees, it seems to be the same people going, and other councillors should be coming as well. We get 3 spaces, and Tracy, me and Andrew go, but obviously we should be alternating with Brendan, Mike and Stephen. So when those recommence, you guys are going to have to come with me instead. Give Andrew and Tracy time off.
Yeah, it is actually worth going.
Yeah, no, the last one I went to was fantastic, actually fantastic. They were battering each other from one end of the room to the other. So they're very good. They're very, very good, actually, very engaging. But
yeah,
yes, show me the dates and I'll have a look, definitely, you're right. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just agree, we'll alternate it. So I have to go as clerk, but we'll alternate my 2 accompaniers each time.
Well, let's see again, you know, it would be great to get people along who haven't been.
Yeah.
Just so you get to see it, because they only hold them every 6 months, so they're not exactly, you know, regular.
Okay. Last one, this is quick. Since we lost Caroline to West Berkshire Council, we do not have a PPG representative at the Downland practice, and we need one.
Yeah. What about Sue Walsh?
Can I ask her?
I only say that because she's now got, you know, quite a close affiliation with the, you know, if you were to go, who is your ideal person for this? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, sounds good. Ask her.
She's just a really obvious one, and again, it kind of fits in with that trying to keep people in touch and doing, to some degree, what they're doing. So
yeah, agree.
Okay, I'll ask. She has a really good relationship with Sanjay and Robert at the practice, so it makes sense.
Even more so, brilliant. Then they might let her in and tell her what's really going on.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, where are we? Clerk's report. The best bit of the meeting.
Okay, so for April we had 68,270 in our account. We received over £7,000 as income in April. We got our first payment of precept, and I pretty much got all of the allotment rents in, which is brilliant. We spent just over £2,000. That was domain name renewal, audit, grass cutting, that kind of thing. May, we're up to £70,000 in the account because we got a SIL payment for the Baptist Chapel.
How much?
And also
How
we
much?
got 1484.
Cool.
Okay. So we can put that in, I think that, because it has to go towards sort of the village, it probably should go in the pond fund.
Well, either pond or playground,
Pond or playground.
I would have thought.
Pond.
Pond would be my favourite because
Yeah, pond.
still
Yeah.
tends to be, you know, highways and things like that,
Yeah.
because they won't approve lots of things, will they? You're not
No.
actually allowed to spend it on.
Yeah. Okay.
Stuff.
Oh, we also got our VAT refund as well, £1,200.
Oh, praise the Lord.
I know, amazing. But we had quite a light month in May. As of the 20th of May, we'd only spent 900 quid. So that's
So
all good.
pandemics are good for the books.
Okay, so this is a big one now. So the SLCC are starting this SILCA, the Certificate in Local Council Administration qualification. It's going to be mainly run virtually, with the potential for a couple of face-to-face meetings in 2021. It obviously says in my contract that I need to do this and become a qualified clerk and get you general power of competence. So I would like from you permission to book myself on. Now, the cost of the course, we pay two fees. We pay £390 to do the course, and then the sort of qualification payment through the SLCC is £350. So it's going to cost you £700 to make me a qualified clerk, and it takes a year for me to complete it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Everybody else? Any thoughts?
Yeah, no,
I
great.
don't have a problem.
Go
I
for
don't
it.
have a
It seems like a really sensible thing to do, to just have the best and the most up-to-date knowledge we possibly can. So yeah, that sounds like
And I think, Ben, as well, if it highlights the clarity of what benefit it gives to us as a council, and more importantly, what benefit to villagers, the investment of 700 or 800 or £1,000, whatever it might be, is going to have. What does it actually give us? What control does it give us? Then it's good in my book.
Okay, good.
excellent.
There was something, I think this is probably one for staffing committee, but due to the cost of this, I think you need to add in a clause to say that if we pay for the clerk to achieve this qualification, you have to stay working for us for,
15
a year.
years?
Well, yeah. I'm just thinking that it's a big expense, and somebody might come along and go.
It's a lock-in for you. It's like a golden lock-in. So if you're
or alternatively,
that's fine.
Brendan, you might have more knowledge about this. With certain things like this, you can often say if if we pay for qualification and you leave, within 3 months, you might be liable for 50% of it. After 6 months, X%, and after a year, 10% or something. Because I don't think since Mr. Dickens left, you're allowed to actually say you can't leave.
No, but we know how rare really good parish clerks are. So we'll write something in.
Okay.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Right. So that is amazing. Right. What are we doing now? Oh yes. Good news. The filing project is complete.
Well done.
Yeah, well done, you.
Yes.
You want
So
some more?
I've got 3 boxes of minutes and old records that are going to be sent to Berkshire Records Office. I've been in contact with Ellie. They're obviously closed at the moment, but she's got our request on a list and will contact us. So that looks pretty good. Right, litter bins.
Go on.
Okay, so on page 78, there's a map. The litter bins in the Rec and the Millennium Green is not on the West Berkshire contract, and they have no room to fit us on. So they are not being emptied, and there's rubbish everywhere. And we need to try and get this sorted out, either by getting someone to do it and paying them, or getting in another contract company. And I just wondered, what do you want me to do with that?
I wonder whether this is where your lengthsman idea would come in with young Peter.
It would. but there isn't a Lengtsman scheme. I sent you an email today. West Berkshire don't have one, but they love the idea. And
Well, let's pilot it.
I know.
Yeah.
There must be a grant for it.
Well, there might be, but we can't employ Pete, unfortunately, until there's backing from the council.
Can we not come up with a very simple contract then?
The issue with that is he would become an employee, which means he has to be.
Yeah, but what if it was a contract as Mr. P. Goddard Enterprises Worldwide PLC Inc.?
You'd have to go on the HMRC books as an employee.
Right, okay.
And then we'd have to tax and national insurance and...
Yeah, but that's if we were employing him. What if he was a sort of sole trader? Just a thought.
He's also over pension age, isn't he? 70.
Yeah.
Could he not maybe invoice us?
Yes. I don't. Yeah. Again, I think you might want to check with the auditor so that we don't end up in the clink.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing is, like, Triangle Management in World's End could add us to their route. They already do Hampstead, Norreys and Compton.
How much were they again?
It's about £9 a bin, I think, something like that.
Per collection.
So
it'd be £18 for the wreck.
Yeah, I'd need to double check. I need to go and have a recce on the wreck and add them all up, and then go to Triangle and say, right, here, and here. How much can you empty these once a month, and just see what they come back with? Shall I do that?
Yeah, and sorry, it's the Millennium Green, isn't it? It's not the wreck.
And the wreck. No, we don't have any.
Oh, it's the wreck as well.
Yeah, no, there are no bins on the wreck. There is one outside the school that they empty, but inside the wreck they don't. But they do the dog poop bins that run parallel to the Millennium Field.
Oh God!
I know.
Well,
but then is that not a question that we can go back to the Millennium Green Trust and ask for a contribution?
Well, they've already emailed me saying, why aren't you emptying the bins?
Yeah, basically that they don't appear to have any money or any means of raising funds. Hence why we've been cutting their grass for them for a very long time.
My view is they're just so, I do agree, having been up there recently in lockdown, they're a mess. They're over.
Yeah, which is just not acceptable. I mean, it's not acceptable anyway. If Triangle are the only option, I mean, it just seems crazy we can't come up with a scheme where Pete invoices us. Any thoughts, anyone?
Let's clarify what Triangle say, and I would say, and work out. And then if it is whatever it is, £20-25 a visit, whatever it might be, it is probably in the end going to be worth it, because nobody's going anywhere soon, and those bins are going to be filled up, because I'm out dog walking a lot, and there's a lot of people dog walking. So there is that situation as well as litter. So I would be saying, let's get it sorted.
Okay, I'll get a quote. I'll calculate how many bins are not being emptied by West Berks, and ask Triangle to quote to do the rest of them. Especially coming up into summer, it's just horrible having litter everywhere, isn't it?
No, it absolutely is. And on one hand, we want people to be mindful with litter and stuff, and we'll Triangle also, because Caroline would be here waggling her finger at us. If we are going to do stuff like this, can we split it into sort of recycle-y bins so that it's one for this bit, one for this, one for that? Just a thought.
We would need to purchase the bins.
Yeah, well, we might do anyway. But it's just in terms of the Triangle service, if they were picking stuff up, because rather than just people chucking everything into one bin and it all going into landfill.
Yeah.
Surely in our new, shiny, environmentally friendly world, we should be separating it.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, one more thing. Time to rescue the war memorial from the Baptist Chapel.
Yep.
It requires a specialist company to remove it from the wall.
Yep.
I've found a specialist company, and they're based in Cardiff, and they will charge us £665 plus VAT, and that's travel, removal, return to Cardiff, and safe storage of the plaque for up to 6 months. And on top of that, should there be any damage, we would have to pay for repairs, and they could help us clean it as well. I've spoken to Nick Watkins today and Reverend Wayne, and the St Mary's Church would be a suitable place for the plaque to go once it's down from the Baptist Chapel. What do you think? Happy?
Yes, I would love to get it. We have to keep it in the village one way or another, and the safest place, I guess, is the church.
Yeah, so I've said that I would help them write to the faculty document, because obviously you can't stick anything up in church, it all has to be agreed. So I can work with Nick and Wayne on that. But in principle, are you happy for £665 for this special company to remove it? The developer's being brilliant. He's going to erect scaffolding for us so that these people can go up and get it.
And I see we've identified the missing railings as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so they are coming back and being reinstalled. So I'm going to go ahead and get that sorted, because the developer wants to start knocking walls down, and obviously this is on a wall, so we need to go and save it.
We really can't afford to lose it.
No. Excellent, thank you very much. And then I'll get it added to our insurance.
Yes.
Right, that's me done. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thanks, Fern.
Matters for future consideration information. Anyone got anything?
Not at the minute.
No. So the only thing I suppose is finding our spare place, because Sue, was it Sue? Sarah couldn't join us, so we've still got a hole.
Yeah. So one vacancy.
If anybody
actually, there's one thing I wanted to raise as well.
Yep.
Was going back to the Dyson development.
Yes.
The letter that's gone out. So I'm slightly concerned that people are going to sign things which have information which may or may not be correct. So from my understanding of the application, it's not an industrial estate. Whereas, so the letter that whoever's organised, people in the village to sign, they're saying it's an industrial estate. It's not an industrial estate. It's like a Class C estate, which is basically accountancy. There's going to be like a butcher's and all sorts of things. It's not like an industrial estate. So I'm kind of slightly concerned that it's skewed against the development. So how does that work out from a council perspective? So I'm interested to hear everyone's view on that.
I think from my kind of view, it's just one of those things, because it's been put round by a member of the public. The facts and the documents are on the website for people to go and look at. And as you mentioned earlier, it's been debated 4 times, I think, at parish council meetings.
Yeah.
Rather than people thinking it only came up at the last meeting. I think it's disappointing when you hear things like that. But ho hum, we are very much in a time of individual editorialization of the world, never more so in the last week. I don't think there's any role or anything the parish council can do. I don't know. I mean, you almost sort of wonder whether, because I suppose the only place you would ever even think about doing or even possibly acting is if it would be considered harmful to people's well-being, and I don't think it could ever be construed as that. So, you know, if it was someone saying you should immediately go and drink disinfectant or inject it, then I think, you know, we would be jumping up and down, because that's slightly different.
No, but I mean, my concern on this is that, when you word things as though it's an industrial estate, you paint the picture as though it's going to be, you know, skips everywhere and all this kind of stuff, which is blatantly not. It's aimed at accountancy firms and so on, and it's clearly stated in the planning documents. So I'd be interested to hear from Harold and Nick, who I know you guys are on, your thoughts on this, because the way the wording is done doesn't kind of match with what the application is.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, Steve, but when it was first debated at council last year, Newbury Weekly News, I think, ran the story about how a leisure centre in East Ilsley wasn't being, you know, everyone was really unhappy about the leisure centre being built. And when I first read the story, I went, the what?
Yeah.
You know, someone's building a swimming pool and Lord knows what else, and we know nothing about it. And it was because there was a mention of a yoga studio. But you know, I think certainly from listening to Dyson, you know, it's a bit more yoga studio than than scrapyard. But you know, the facts are on West Berkshire Council's planning application portal for everyone to go see, and I suppose make their own minds up. I can't see any mechanism where we as council could or should, in fact, do anything. We've taken all our decisions, you know, openly and transparently, with people able to hear and see what we said. And actually, you know, as with most things in planning, and I think this cannot be lost, it's West Berkshire Council and national planning guidance that are responsible for so much of this. I mean, it's almost it's almost misinformation with this sort of, you know, your parish council have wield this enormous power, you know, because as I said, for almost 6 years, anything we said, the West Berkshire Council planning team did the exact opposite. No,
totally. No, but as this was like open, Harold and Nick, and you guys, do you want to mention some stuff? Or not?
Why don't I just formally move this on to...
Harold's got his hand up.
To item 27.
Okay.
Which is further questions or comments.
Perfect.
Harold, do you want to go first?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you. And thank you, Steve, for even inviting me. I had every intention to join anyway in the conversation, but I make a couple of introductory points, which is that I don't have much experience with yoga studios, but I do have a fair number of meetings with various accountants around the world. Very few of them work in offices with roller shutter doors. So I think there may be a little mismatch on description of the buildings and what you're implying will be used. I have a broader question. Steve, you have transparently been very supportive of Dyson, also in the last the parish council meeting, but you also referred on this meeting to the many meetings that you and the parish council have had with Dyson, which is good that you're diligent in understanding what their plans are. May I just ask what meetings you had with the residents of Sunrise Hill, who are the ones who are most directly affected by this plan?
Yeah, of course. So our parish council meetings are scheduled throughout the year, and anyone's allowed to come. So if you want to come to a parish council meeting, you're allowed. And I think I've seen you at maybe one in the last 12 months, which is brilliant. A lot of people in the village never go, but it's great to see people just once a year. So I'm really pleased that people do come to the parish council meetings. So yeah.
So, for the record, Steve, but I'm quite happy to be diverted from the theme. But my wife sat on the council for 3 years, just for the record. But
no, I know.
It was not my question about my ability to attend your council meetings. My question was very specific. You referred to your many meetings with Dyson, including on site. And my question was very simple. How many meetings have you had with the residents of Sunrise Hill, on or off site? Question, answer please.
Well, from a perspective of how many people from Sunrise Hill attended parish council meetings, you'll have to ask the people that live at Sunrise Hill. So I refer that question back to you. So
the answer from them is...
Hang on. Can I just clarify something here, so to avoid all elements of doubt, and again, feel free to refresh my memory. I have had no on-site meetings as a member of the parish council with Dyson at Sunrise Hill. I don't know if anyone else has.
No, I haven't.
We have had one meeting at the farm in Compton, because they invited us there to show the kind of work they'd done at the farm. And as far as I'm aware, that's the only formal meeting we've had with Dyson. So we haven't had any on-site meetings with Dyson. Neither have we had any on-site meetings with the residents directly, but we have had 4 parish council meetings where this has been discussed in public.
Well, look, listen, I don't want to belabor this. I think we all understand what's going on here. You can listen to your transcript or your recording. Steve made it perfectly clear. He referred to the many meetings with Dyson, including on-site.
Well, excuse me. Excuse me. I am chair of this meeting. And? You're making some very serious allegations.
No, I said listen to the transcript.
No. I have just explained to you. If any councillor wants to contradict me, they can do.
I'm referring to what Steve said. Sorry.
I equally clarified this point. Has anyone on the council had any other meetings on site with Dyson?
Nope.
No.
I mean, I think just if we take it down a level slightly.
Well, I'm not prepared. I'm not interested in taking it down when people are making those sorts of allegations in public on camera.
Yeah. We've had one meeting where James Dawson invited us and we sat.
And where was it? Where was it?
That was at Mayfield. And he brought out a projector and he showed us all of the 165 properties that they have on site and what they had done from Blueberry to Compton to what they want to do at Ilsley. In terms of the residents of Sunrise, when this was discussed first and the first planning application went in where the road was straight up through the residents' properties, the school hall was obviously full. Now I know a lot of those people.
No, it was actually discussed before that, Brendan, as well.
But you remember they literally...
Oh, yeah, but it was discussed at a previous meeting as well.
And Sue came and loads of people, Ruth Bentley and everything. It was great to see. They all came and they filled it. James Dawson was in the back of the room and they were really clear on what they wanted, what they weren't happy with, what they were objecting to, and it was documented. Outside of that, we as a council have had no involvement with James Dawson in the official residence of Dyson HQ. It's been him coming to a parish council meeting and the residents of Sunrise coming up the hill to the school. But you're right, Harold, I've never walked up to Sunrise and none of us and brought the residents
on any kind of, but equally we haven't done any on-site meetings. So I don't know if you want to reconsider your question.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I think Steve probably wants to reconsider his earlier statement when he said that you went there.
Hold on, Harold. I said that Dyson to come to parish council meetings to discuss and present to what their presentations are, and which they clearly did. And I cannot remember you being there, Harold. Maybe you were out of the country.
I probably was. I'm frequently out of the country because I travel like you used to do. But anyway, Fine. Okay. No matter. I mean, it's neither here nor there. The transcript is the transcript. You said what you said, and I still find it extraordinary that the council seems minded to support Dyson in this venture.
Again, could I just correct an incorrect fact?
We
I thought you were at
objected.
the last meeting.
Say again?
You were at the last meeting?
I was.
You heard us object to the planning
Object.
application,
On a
and
technicality.
that's what went in.
On a technicality.
There is only object or support.
Well, Tracy Murray actually in the same call asked, is it possible to vote both ways, just for the record? But again, you have the transcript.
Yes, I did.
Well, again,
But I went with object.
I'm dealing with things called facts.
Ah,
They may be a new concept to you.
Of course they are, Andrew. Thank you very
Well,
much.
I don't know. I think it's really important because remember,
What's
everyone
important?
in this council is volunteering their time. And for people to come in here and start casting all sorts of aspersions,
I'm just curious.
it's unsavoury at the very least.
Okay. Well, that's a good start. But I'm just curious to observe that this council, notwithstanding having registered some technical objections...
No, it's not a technical objection. It is black and white. Object or support.
Okay, Andrew.
Do you understand the concept?
Thank you. You know perfectly well what the tone...
No, I don't know perfectly well.
I see.
It is black or white.
Okay.
Support or object.
Okay, fine. If you live in a black and white world...
No,
then...
I don't live in a black and white world. This is the local law of planning and parish councils.
No, we're not talking about the process.
Well, we are, because the process where it ends is the parish council either supports or objects.
Look, if this had been about process, we wouldn't be having the conversation, because there were over 100 objections already registered, and they will come from organizations, not individuals, from template letters. They will come from the Council for Protection of Rural England and many others. So don't worry, this part is gone. What I'm curious about is whether the parish council is in some shape or form supposed to be representing the views of the village or just their own. This is a basic question, because given the strength of feeling, and when Steve says you have meetings with Dyson, but you don't have meetings with the villagers who are directly affected by Dyson, I'm just curious what...
Well, I'm curious how at the first meeting where this discussion happened, where the initial planning was brought, do you know how many residents of Sunrise turned up?
No idea.
None.
Okay, why would that
Not
be?
a single one. So,
why would that be?
I don't know. Inability to read?
Oh, thank you. You're very complimentary this evening as chairman of
Well, you're the one who I'm afraid is casting all sorts of aspersions that really are unsavoury and unnecessary.
You mean uncomfortable or unsavoury?
Unsavoury.
Ah, okay.
And there's a very subtle difference.
Ah, is there?
Yeah.
It escapes me.
Well, I'm sure it would. I'm not surprised.
No.
I can't say I'm surprised. Have you anything factually to add?
To add to what?
Have you any facts you would like to discuss, or should we move on to any other questions?
No, I have asked Steve the question, he's answered it and not answered it, and you didn't hear what he answered in the first place.
Harold, which piece did I not answer for you?
The bit about your many meetings with Dyson.
Yeah, they came to Parish
including
Council.
on site.
No, on site we went to.
Okay, fine. I'll send you the transcript. Don't worry, Steve. Don't
worry.
So are you?
Hold on. Andrew, hold on. Harold, we went to. We had one meeting at the Dyson's offices where they presented to us. And the other meetings were at Parish Council meetings where you were invited to. Harold, hold on. You were invited to, but you didn't turn up. So you weren't invited to the Parish Council meeting that we had with Dyson on their premises, because that was just councillors. But all the other meetings you were invited to, but you didn't turn up. You were out of the country, or you were putting your house on the market.
But the point being that when you talk about on site, you mean on Dyson's site, meaning their offices. That's fine. Okay, fine.
1
We
meeting.
clarified it. We clarified it for the record. It's now recorded. Thank you.
Excellent. Anyone else got any other questions or comments? Nope. Okay, let's call the meeting to a close. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Fen.
Thank you.
Cheers all.